I never thought loyalty could feel like a noose tightening around your neck until the moment Victor Kane's voice echoed through the executive floor like a death sentence. Isla, you're done. Security's on their way. Fired at noon, right there in the glass-walled conference room where I'd bled for this company. Nights blurring into dawns, secrets buried deeper than the foundation of this Manhattan tower. But the real gut punch? By 5 o'clock, my face was splashed across every financial news ticker from CNBC to Bloomberg. Rising star Isla Reyes accused of multi-million-dollar fraud. Me, the idiot who covered for him, who took the fall so he could climb higher on my broken back. It started 6 months earlier, back when the air in Kane and Associates hummed with that electric buzz of ambition, the kind that makes you forget you're trading your soul for a corner office. I was 29, fresh off a Harvard MBA, the token Latina powerhouse in a sea of Ivy League suits who still pronounce my last name like it was a punchline. Victor Kane, the firm's Silver Fox CEO, had plucked me from the analyst pool like I was his golden ticket. Isla, he'd say over late-night scotch in his office, his eyes gleaming like a predator sizing up fresh meat. You're not like the others. You've got fire. Stick with me, and we'll burn this city down together. Together? What a crock. Victor was 62, divorced 3 times, with a penthouse in Tribeca that screamed old money and zero fucks. He built Kane and Associates from a shady hedge fund into a Wall Street behemoth specializing in aggressive asset recovery. Code for bending every SEC rule without snapping. I idolized him at first. He mentored me, fast-tracked my promotions, even introduced me to his inner circle. The lobbyists, the senators, the ghosts who pulled strings from smoke-filled backrooms. In return, I gave him everything. My weekends, my sanity, and eventually my silence. The first crack appeared during the Meridian deal, a $200 million acquisition of a flailing tech startup that smelled fishy from the jump. Victor needed creative accounting to make the numbers sing, and I was the one humming the tune. Just reroute these transfers through the Cayman shell, he whispered one Friday, sliding a USB drive across his desk like it was contraband candy. It's temporary. Off-books favor for a friend in D.C. You do this, Isla, and that VP slot's yours by Christmas. I hesitated, my gut twisting like I'd swallowed bad sushi. Embezzlement? Money laundering? This wasn't the fire he'd promised. It was playing with matches in a powder keg. But loyalty's a bitch, especially when you've got student loans gnawing at your heels and dreams of proving your immigrant parents wrong about that Wall Street poison. So I did it. Logged in after hours, funneled the funds through a labyrinth of offshore accounts, backdated invoices, until the ledger looked pristine. By Monday, the deal closed, Victor got his bonus, and I got a pat on the back and a vague promise of equity. That should have been my wake-up call, but no. I doubled down. When the Fed started sniffing around a month later, some whistleblower tip about irregularities, Victor fed me to the wolves without blinking. Isla's handling the compliance audit, he told the board, his voice smooth as aged bourbon. She's got it locked down. Locked down meant me shredding emails, doctoring timestamps, even posing as the signatory on a dummy wire transfer that pinned the whole mess on a ghost vendor I'd invented. I was his shield, his scapegoat, the loyal dog fetching sticks from hell. Life outside the office blurred into irrelevance. My apartment in Brooklyn became a crash pad for takeout boxes and unwashed blazers. Dates? Forget it. My last boyfriend, a barista with tattoos and zero ambition, bailed after I canceled our 3rd anniversary for a client dinner that was really Victor's ego trip to Davos. You're married to that job, Isla, he said, packing his duffel. Or worse to him. Him, Victor. The man who called me kid like I was his protege, but looked at me like I was disposable. By spring, the pressure cooker was hissing. Victor's 3rd ex-wife was suing for alimony that could sink the firm, and his friends in D.C. were demanding kickbacks on the Meridian windfall. He leaned harder on me, his touches lingering a beat too long during strategy sessions, a hand on my knee under the table, a whisper about how we make a hell of a team. I brushed it off as mentor weirdness, the cost of the game. Power in this city isn't given, it's clawed from the throats of the willing. Then came the audit. Not the routine one, but the full-court press from the SEC, triggered by an anonymous leak. Victor called me into his office at 10 a.m. that fateful Tuesday, the skyline mocking me through floor-to-ceiling windows. Rain lashed the glass like accusations. "We've got a problem, kid," he said, not meeting my eyes. He paced, tie loosened, silver hair disheveled for the first time I could remember. "Someone's talking, and it's pointing straight at you."
Me?
My heart slammed against my ribs. "What do you mean, me? I did everything you..." "Sure." He stopped, gripped my shoulders, his cologne overwhelming, sandalwood and desperation. "Listen, I can fix this, but you gotta take the hit. Sign this confession. Plead to misdemeanor fraud. I'll make it go away, probation, maybe a fine. In return, full pardon on the back end. We'll say it was a rogue analyst, clean slate for everyone." His eyes bored into mine, that predatory gleam sharpened to a knife's edge. "You owe me, Isla, for everything." Owe him? The word lodged in my throat like glass. I built his empire on my overtime, buried his sins in my sleep-deprived nights. But there it was, the betrayal, raw and unfiltered. He wasn't saving me. He was sacrificing me to save his skin. Refuse, and he'd bury me deeper. Leaks to the press, blackballed from every firm in the tri-state. Sign, and I'd be the fall guy, my career a smoldering crater. I signed. Trembling fingers on dotted lines, the pen scratching like claws on a coffin lid. By noon, HR was in the boardroom, a stone-faced suit from legal droning about, immediate termination for cause. Victor stood in the corner, arms crossed, watching like it was a mildly interesting TED Talk. "Personal effects to the lobby," the HR drone said. "Escort out now." No goodbye, no severance, just the echo of my heels on marble as security flanked me to the elevators. The lobby was a blur of sympathetic stares and whispers. My phone buzzed nonstop, texts from colleagues, "WDF Isla," voicemails from my mom in Queens, "Mija, what happened?" The news. I stumbled into the rain-slicked street, the midday sun mocking through clouds, hailstones pinging off my blazer like bullets. Fired at noon. That's when the noose really tightened. But exposure? That came at 5. I was holed up in a dive bar off Wall Street, nursing a whiskey neat that tasted like regret, when my phone lit up with alerts. Bloomberg. Kane and Associates analyst Isla Reyes indicted in $50 million embezzlement scheme. CNBC. From heir apparent to headline felon, the rise and fall of Isla Reyes. Photos of me, smiling at the firm holiday gala, arm around Victor like we were family, juxtaposed with mugshot placeholders and grainy surveillance stills from the office. They had everything. The doctored ledgers. The offshore wires. Even that dummy transfer, twisted to look like I'd siphoned funds to a personal account in Miami. Victor's work, no doubt, his hackers, his spin doctors, turning my loyalty into a weapon. By 6, Isla scandal was trending on X, memes of me as the Wall Street witch flooding feeds. Friends unfollowed. Recruiters ghosted. My parents' calls went to voicemail. How do you explain to a retired nurse and a cab driver that their smart girl just became public enemy number 1? I don't remember leaving the bar. Blacked out on shots, maybe, or just the weight of it all crushing my chest. Woke up in a haze on a subway bench, the G train rattling like my nerves, destination unknown. Brooklyn? Queens? Didn't matter. Home was a concept for people who hadn't just lost everything. That's when the weirdness hit. A pounding in my skull, not hangover bad, but something deeper, like my brain was rebooting. The subway lights flickered, voices warped into static. I gripped the pole, sweat beading despite the AC chill. "Miss? You okay?" A commuter, some guy in a Mets cap, eyeing me like I might puke. "Yeah," I muttered, but my voice wrong. Deeper, gravelly. I glanced down. Hands, manicured nails gone, replaced by thick fingers, liver spots dotting the knuckles. A Rolex glinted on my wrist, heavy and unfamiliar. Panic surged. I bolted to the window's reflection. Staring back wasn't my face, heart-shaped, olive skin, dark curls. It was Victor Kane's. Jolly cheeks, salt and pepper hair slicked back, those cold blue eyes now wide with my terror. Body swap. Impossible sci-fi bullshit. But here I was, trapped in his skin, his suit hanging loose on his frame. The train lurched to a stop.
Gainsborough Plaza.
I stumbled out, legs wobbling like a newborn foal.
How? When?
Last night, after the bar, I'd crashed at a Fleabag motel near the firm, too wrecked to go home. Vaguely remembered a wellness trial. Victor pushing some VR headset prototype from a Silicon Alley startup, stress relief for the team. I'd humored him, strapped in for what he called executive meditation. Lights, voices, a pull like falling through ice. Now this. Me and him. Him. Where? Dread coiled in my gut, his gut, soft from too many power lunches. If I was here, he was in me. My body, my life, my fresh hell. And with access to everything, my phone, my apartment, my lingering trust in friends, he could bury me for good. Revenge didn't feel like a choice anymore. It was oxygen. I straightened Victor's tie in a puddle's reflection, practicing his smirk. Time to play the part. Time to turn the tables from the inside out. By dawn, I'd be back in that tower, not as the fall guy, but as the wolf in sheep's clothing. Or wolf in wolf's clothing. Whatever. Noon had fired me. 5 had exposed me. But tomorrow? I'd expose him, starting with the secrets he'd buried deeper than my loyalty. Slipping back into Kane and Associates felt like stealing my own grave. Dawn broke gray over the East River as I, Victor, for all intents and purposes, hailed a cab from that godforsaken motel, the driver's prying eyes on the rearview catching glimpses of my unease. His unease, technically. These hands, these vocal cords, they betrayed me at every turn. The cabbie grunted. "Rough night, Mr. Kane? You look like hell." I forced a chuckle, Victor's baritone rumbling out like thunder in a tin can. "You have no idea, pal. Just get me to the office." The tower loomed, a chrome monolith piercing the smog, its lobby a cathedral of polished granite and false promises. Security nodded me through, familiar face, retinal scan beeping green. Elevator to the penthouse floor, the ride up a slow torture of mirrored walls reflecting this stolen shell. I practiced in the glass. Victor's nod, his predatory stride. By the time the doors dinged open, I was him. Almost. First stop, his office. Floor-to-ceiling views of the harbor, desk the size of a small yacht, walls lined with signed baseballs from Yankees greats and framed Forbes covers proclaiming him the Shark of Wall Street. I locked the door, heart hammering, and fired up the triple monitor setup. Password? Child's play. I'd seen him type it 100 times during those scotch-fueled marathons. Loyalty is weakness, 123. Ironic, that. Files upon files, encrypted drives humming like vipers' nests. I dove in, fingers flying over keys that felt foreign, too broad for precision. There it was, the Meridian folder, buried under layers of misdirection. Not just the reroutes I'd handled, the real poison. Victor hadn't been bending rules for a DC favor. He'd been siphoning straight to his own pockets, laundering through his ex-wife's charity front in the Caymans.
Milio.
And the whistleblower? Not some disgruntled analyst.
Me.
No, a digital ghost. He'd planted a backdoor in my workstation months ago, logging every keystroke, every login. The leak to the SEC? Auto-scheduled to drop post-audit, framing me as the mastermind while he played victim.
Bastard.
My blood, his blood, boiled. But evidence like this needed teeth. I copied it all to a thumb drive, old-school analog, then emailed a dummy trace to a burner account I'd set up on his desktop. Next, the confession I'd signed. It was there, scanned and notarized, but editable. A few tweaks swapped the IP logs, timestamped the wires to his machine, and suddenly, the fall guy had a twin. A knock shattered the focus. Victor? Board meeting in 10. Carla, his assistant, mid-40s, sharp as a stiletto, loyal to him like I once was. I cleared my throat, pitching my voice lower. "Yeah, coming. Coffee black, extra shot." She paused, Then heels clicked away. Close call. I couldn't afford slip-ups. One wrong inflection, and the house of cards topples. The boardroom was a Shark Tank, 10 gray-haired titans in Brioni suits, nursing espressos and grudges. Victor's throne at the head, me sinking into it like quicksand. Gentlemen, I started, channeling his gravelly drawl. Meridian's in the bag, but we've got fallout.
SCS circling.
Murmurs rippled. Old man Hargrove, the venture capital fossil, leaned in. And the Reyes girl? She holding. Reyes. My name on their lips like trash. Rage flickered, but I smothered it.
Isla? She's contained. Took the plea.
But let's talk contingencies. I laid it on thick. Deflections, scapegoats, a new shell in Panama. They ate it up, nodding like bobbleheads, blind to the imposters spinning their web tighter. By meeting's end, I'd greenlit a cleanup fund, code for bribing the right inspectors. My first order as Victor, self-sabotage. Lunch was a solo affair at Delmonico's, the steakhouse where deals were sealed in blood and béarnaise. I picked at the ribeye, appetite soured by this body's hangovers, Victor's love for single malt rearing its head. Phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text. Miss me, kid? Your body's treating me well. Zoxo. V. A selfie attached. My face, my curls, grinning from my Brooklyn stoop.
Him and me.
The violation hit like ice water. He was playing house in my life, probably charming my doorman, rifling through my drawers for leverage. I texted back, fingers trembling. Enjoy it while it lasts. Noon was just the appetizer. Cryptic, Victor style. Let him stew. But inside, panic clawed. How long could this last? The VR trial, some Neuralink beta from Neurosync Labs, pitched as immersive empathy training for execs. Swap perspectives, build trust. The pitch deck lied. Victor must have rigged it, dosed the headsets with something experimental. Psychedelics? Nanotech? I needed answers, but first revenge. Afternoon blurred into calls. Schmoozing senators, stonewalling feds. Each, yes, sir, from this mouth tasted like ash. By 4, I was in the server room, biometrics bypassed with Victor's print, uploading the doctored files to a public leak site. Timed for 5 p.m. drop, synced to the tickers that had crucified me.
Poetic, that.
But as the upload bar crept, doubt wormed in. Was I becoming him? Ruthless, calculating, blind to the fallout? 5 o'clock struck like a guillotine. Alerts pinged across the floor. Gasps from cubicles, Hargrove bursting and red-faced. Victor, what the hell? Your signature on those wires? The board's calling an emergency session. I feigned shock, rising slow.
Impossible.
Must be a hack. Chaos erupted, phones ringing off hooks, legal scrambling. Victor's empire, cracking under my hand. I slipped out amid the frenzy, coat over arm, hailing a car service to Neurosync's lab in Flatiron. The founder, Dr. Elias Crow, a wiry genius with a god complex and venture backing from Victor's slush fund, greeted me like the prodigal son. Mr. Kane, the trial data's promising. Empathy scores through the roof. Empathy.
Right.
I cornered him in the demo room, headsets glowing like accusatory eyes. Cut the bullshit, Elias. What did you put in those links? Why am I here? His face paled, Adam's apple bobbing. It's reversible. Beta blockers in the neural gel, temporary synaptic override. Supposed to last 12 hours, foster perspective taking for negotiations. But Victor. He asked for a tweak. Permanent loop, keyed to stress triggers. Said it was for team building. Team building. My laugh was bitter, echoing off sterile walls. Undo it.
Now.
Elias fidgeted, tapping a console. Can't. The anchor's biometric, your vitals in his body, his and yours. To swap back, you need mutual consent. Voice command, synced pulses. Consent. From the man who'd sold me out? Fat chance. Night fell as I left the lab, city lights smearing into neon wounds. Back in Victor's penthouse, key fob granting entry to marble opulence, I poured a scotch, his favorite, and plotted. My burner buzzed. Another text from me. Clever girl. But leaks cut both ways. Check your email. Attached, scans of my parents' mortgage docs, threats scrawled in red. Confess, or they lose the house. The noose tightened again. Controversial? Hell yes. I'd started this for justice. But now? Lines blurred. Do I burn it all? Expose Victor? Take the empire down with him? Or play his game? Twist until he begged? I stared at the skyline, his reflection mocking mine. Loyalty had been my chain. Revenge? It was forging a new one. Sleep came fitful, dreams of swapped faces melting like wax. Woke to dawn's glare, Victor's alarm blaring stock tickers. Today, escalation. I'd hit his allies, unravel the web thread by thread. But deep down, a whisper. What if the swap was an accident? What if I'd willed it, subconscious fury birthing this nightmare?
Nah.
Paranoia. Or was it? By noon, I was in a black car convoy to D.C., lobbying session with Senator Hale, the Meridian friend. Hale, paunchy and pompous, clapped my Victors back at the Willard. Vic, old boy. That leak. Reyes witch hunt. I smiled, teeth bared. Witch hunt's right. But I've got dirt that'll make your re-election a cakewalk. In exchange, pull strings on the SEC probe. He bought it hook and sinker, toasting with bourbon. But as we talked, my phone vibrated. News alert. Kane and Associates CEO Victor Kane implicated in wider fraud ring. The drop had landed, ripples turning to waves.
Good.
Chaos was my ally. Back in the city by dusk, the penthouse a war room. Emails flooded, board demanding resignation, ex-wife's lawyers circling like vultures. Victor and me was radio silent, but I knew he was watching, plotting for my skin. I needed leverage, something personal, buried deep. Rifling his safe, deeds, blackmail Polaroids, a senator in drag, priceless, and a thumb drive labeled IR backup.
Isla Reyes. Me.
Heart stuttered as I plugged it in. Not evidence. Memories. Victor's home movies, grainy footage of us in his office, late nights, my laughter too bright, his hand on my waist too familiar. Then, darker, me signing docs in a daze, eyes glassy. Drugged? The scotch, always spiked? And the final clip, me in the VR chair, him adjusting the headset, murmuring, "Sleep tight, kid. This'll make you see things my way." Horror hollowed me. Betrayal wasn't just professional. It was intimate, insidious. He'd groomed me, dosed me, turned loyalty into a drug. Rage purified, sharpened to a blade. Tomorrow, the climax. I'd summon him, me face to face. Force the swap, or end it. But as midnight tolled, a knock. Not the butler. Her. Carla, eyes red-rimmed, clutching a bottle. Victor. I know it's you.
Isla.
My world tilted.
How?
Carla's whisper hung in the air like smoke from a snuffed candle, her face pale under the penthouse's recessed lights. She stepped inside without invitation, bottle of Glenfiddich dangling from manicured fingers, the door clicking shut like a verdict. Don't bother denying it. I've seen that look, the deer-in-headlights panic behind the shark eyes. It's how you always stare at him during those mentorship drinks. She poured 2 glasses, neat, sliding one across the obsidian bar top. Her hand trembled, just a fraction. Betrayal's echo, I supposed. I took the glass, Victor's thick fingers wrapping around crystal, sank onto a leather stool that creaked under unfamiliar weight.
How?
The word escaped gravelly, laced with my old cadence. She laughed, short and sharp, more bark than mirth.
Details.
First, the swap. Neurosync's not just some beta. Victor invested millions, pulled strings for off-books trials. Empathy enhancement, he called it. But you and I know better control. He tested it on interns first, low-level swaps for negotiation sims. Erased their memories after. You were the upgrade. Full immersion, no wipe.
No wipe.
The words landed like hooks in flesh. I'd been guinea pigging for his power play, dosed and discarded. And you? You knew. Accusation dripped, hot and accusatory. Carla sipped, eyes distant, staring at the harbor's black mirror. New? Honey, I enabled. 20 years in this snake pit, typing his lies, booking his mistresses, burying his bodies. Figuratively, mostly. A ghost of a smile. But you were different. Fresh meat, all fire and ideals. I warned you, remember? That first gala, when he cornered you by the ice sculpture. He's a user, Isla. Run while you can. I did remember. Her hand on my arm, voice low amid champagne flutes and false laughter. I'd brushed it off, ambition's blinders. Now, in Victor's skin, regret tasted like peat smoke. Why tell me now? What's in it for you? She set her glass down, hard enough to rattle. Self-preservation. And maybe
Guilt.
that leak? Not just his backdoor on you. He had one on everyone, me included. Doctored my emails to look like I greenlit the Cayman shells. When the board implodes, I'm collateral. But you in there? You're the wild card. Finish him, and maybe we both walk.
Alliance.
Controversial as hell, teaming with the enabler to gut the snake. But in this funhouse mirror of a life, choices were illusions. Fine, I said, clinking glasses. But I need everything. His dirt, your access. We hit him where it hurts. We plotted till the small hours, scotch loosening tongues. Carla spilled. Victor's web stretched tentacles into politics, Hale's campaign slush, media, payoffs to bury ex-wife scandals, even tech, NeuroSync's black market neural mods for enhanced interrogations. The hidden secret? Not just greed. Obsession. He'd fixated on me, not romantically, but as a vessel. You were his legacy, she sneered. The perfect heir. Smart, ruthless, disposable. The swap? Plan B. If you wouldn't bend, he'd become you, slip into your life, your networks, start fresh without the baggage. Baggage. His divorces, his debts, his fading empire. I'd borne his mistakes, all right, literally now. By 3 a.m., we had a plan. Lure him out, force the confrontation. I'd leak a summons, fake SEC warrant, his name in bold, to my old email. He'd bite, thinking it a chance to gloat or grab more leverage. Meet at the firm's rooftop helipad, midnight tomorrow. Neutral ground, high stakes. And the swap. I pressed. Carla shrugged. Elias owes me favors. I've got a portable rig, prototype reverser. Risky, but it'll sink if you're close enough. Just. Don't let him talk. Victor's silver tongue's his real weapon. Dawn chased us out, her slipping away like a shadow, me collapsing into Victor's king bed, sheets silk against unfamiliar stubble. Sleep evaded, mind racing circuits of what-ifs. What if he fought dirty? What if the board sniffed the imposter? By noon, the city churned oblivious. Taxis honking, brokers barking trades, my face, Victor's, on every screen as fugitive CEO, alerts blared. I played the role. Damage control on overdrive. Press conference in the lobby, flashbulbs popping like gunfire. A betrayal from within. I intoned, Victor's timbre steady. But Kane and associates indoors. Lies flowed easy now, his muscle memory kicking in. Reporters bayed. Mr. Kane, the Reyes connection? I paused, channeling ice. Ms. Reyes was a valued employee. If she's involved, justice will prevail. Laughter bubbled inside, dark, unhinged. Justice.
Right.
Afternoon. Schmoozing salvage. Lunched with Hargrove at the Palm, caricatures on walls leering like co-conspirators. Vic, this is Armageddon, he wheezed over oysters. Resign, or we vote you out. I countered with carrots, Panama shell shares, insider tips on the next bubble. He wavered, the old goat, but doubt lingered in his squint.
You're
off today. Sure you're not cracking? Paranoia prickled. I laughed it off, but inside, the clock ticked louder. Evening brought escalation. My burner lit up. Victor and me. Taunting. Video call incoming. I accepted, stealing. There I was, my face, twisted into a smirk, background my Brooklyn kitchen, takeout containers strewn like battle scars. Having fun in the castle, kid? Daddy's throne fits funny, huh? His voice from my lips, syrupy venom. Cut the crap, I growled, his bass clashing with my intent. Rooftop. Midnight. Or the full archive drops. Your ex's charity. Hale's bribes. The works. He leaned in, my curls framing eyes that weren't mine. Bold. But why meet? Afraid I'll outplay you in your own skin. Static flickered. The call glitched, faces warping for a heartbeat. Because I want my life back. And yours? I'll torch it. He hung up, but not before a flash. My apartment door ajar, shadows moving. Was he alone? Allies? The uncertainty gnawed, controversial decisions looming. Trust Carla's rig or go nuclear. Hack the building's cams, lock him in? I chose middle ground. Arm myself. Victor's safe yielded a Glock 19, registered to a Shell LLC. Cold metal in palm. Weight of consequence. Shooting a man in your own body? Beyond debate, suicide by proxy. Midnight approached like a storm front. The helipad atop the tower whipped wind into frenzy, city lights sprawling below like a circuit board on fire. I arrived early, rig and briefcase, Carla's delivery via courier anonymous. Portable helmet, wires snaking to a laptop pulsing green. Proximity trigger, her note read. Get within 5 feet, vocalize revert. It'll pull. Or fry our synapses. 50-50. He-me. Stepped from the stairwell at 12:05, heels clicking my defiant rhythm. Wind tore at my blazer, curls wild. Isla, he purred, circling like a cat with cream. Or should I say, Victor? Loving the paunch. Up close, the dissonance hit visceral. My features, but his swagger, his cologne clinging. Save it, I snapped, briefcase between us like a shield. The rig. We end this. He laughed, my laugh, bright and cutting. And? Oh, kid, this is just intermission. See, I didn't rig the swap for control. You did.
Lie. Had to be.
But he pulled a drive from his pocket, tossing it at my feet.
Watch.
Your workstation, pre-trial. You hacked the gel formula, doubled the dose, set the loop.
Why?
That drugged footage? Placebo. You want it in. On the power. The real betrayal? Yours. You framed yourself to force my hand. Wind howled, doubt seeding.
No. Couldn't be.
But the drive burned in my mind's eye. I lunged for the rig, flipping it open. Bullshit. Revert.
Now.
He charged, my body lithe against his bulk. Struggle blurred, fists flying, his, nails raking jowls. We tumbled, helmets clattering, wires tangling. Laptop sparked, screen fracturing to code. Revert. I roared, pinning him. Pulses synced, electric jolt searing veins, vision tunneling. Faces swam. Twist incoming, reality inverting. As bodies wrenched, truth crystallized, not swap.
Merge.
Neurosyncs lie, echoes of psyches bleeding through. Victor's memories flooded. His abuses, yes, but mine too. Ambition's dark underbelly, the quiet sabotages I'd ignored. We'd been swapping pieces all along. Loyalty, a mutual poison. Climax crested. Bodies slamming helipad edge. City yawning below. Choice. Push or pull back. Controversial to the core. Kill the monster, become it? Or forgive. Rebuild from ash? The wind clawed at us like an angry god. The helipad's edge a razor's lip over Manhattan's abyss. Victor's body, mine now, heavy with his sins, pinned my own form, lithe and furious, but weakening under the neural surge. Sparks flew from the rig, laptop whining like a dying animal, code cascading in erratic greens and reds. You think you know betrayal? He hissed through my lips, breath hot against jowls that felt like melting wax. I made you, Isla. Without me, you're nothing. A queen's girl playing dress-up in the big leagues. His words stung, not because they were true, but because they echoed the doubts I'd buried under overtime and olive branches to the board. Made me? Or molded me into his mirror, reflecting the ruthlessness I'd pretended not to crave? The merge hit harder then. psyches colliding like storm fronts, memories not just flashing but fusing. I saw it all, his third divorce, not over money but mania, whispering my name in therapy sessions as his salvation. My side, the late nights I'd lingered not from loyalty but hunger for the corner office, the validation, the proof I belonged in rooms that once whispered affirmative action behind my back. Revert, I bellowed again, voice cracking midway, my timbre bleeding into his. The rig obeyed, pulses hammering like defibrillators on overdrive. Bodies convulsed, skins stretching taut, then snapping back. Agony ripped through, bones grinding, nerves firing in reverse. Vision doubled, his blue eyes overlaying my brown, curls tangling with silver strands. We screamed in unison, a duet of unraveling. Then, release. I gasped, collapsing onto cold concrete, my hands, small, calloused from childhood chores, pressing against the helipad. My hands, olive skin, chipped manicure from yesterday's frenzy. I was me again. Across, Victor sprawled in his shell, coughing wetly, face ashen. The rig smoked, spent, its screen cracked to oblivion. No more swap. Just us, raw, exposed, the city's hum indifferent below. He stirred first, rolling to knees, that predatory gleam dimmed to desperation.
Isla, wait. We can fix this.
Together. The leaks, I'll take the fall. Full confession. You walk, VP slot waiting. His hand extended, trembling. Classic Victor, silver tongue to the last. But the merged gift, or curse, lingered. I saw through him now, psyches scarred with shared stains. His obsession wasn't love or legacy, it was fear. Fear of obsolescence, of a world where silver foxes got put out to pasture. And me? I'd borne his crimes not from blind loyalty, but a mirror fear, of fading into mediocrity, of proving the doubters right. We'd used each other, a toxic tango from the start. I stood, wind whipping my blazer, heels steady on the precipice. Sirens wailed distant, boards panic, or feds closing in. Time ticked. Controversial decision loomed, the kind that splits readers into camps, mercy for the monster, or justice as catharsis. Fix it, I echoed, voice mine, steady as Brooklyn bedrock. You dosed me, framed me, turned my life into your escape hatch. That's not a partnership. That's predation. His eyes widened, genuine fear or theater. Kid, please. I was wrong. But you hacked the rig. Subconscious, yeah, but you wanted this power. We're the same.
Same.
The twist inverted everything, not victim and villain, but reflections in a shattered mirror. The truth reversed, not his betrayal alone, but ours intertwined. I'd ignored red flags, enabled the enabler, swapped not by force, but fractured will. Debatable ending brewing, redeem or raise. I stepped closer, not to help, but to loom. Maybe we are, but I'm done being your echo. Hand dipped to my pocket, weight his Glock, transferred in the scrum. Cold steel, decision crystallized. Not to shoot, to offer choice his own noose. Confess, I said, leveling the barrel at his chest. Live stream it.
Now.
Or I pull, and the world sees Victor Kane tumble from his tower. Suicide, they'll say. Fitting end for a fall guy turned ghost. He froze, calculating odds. Wind howled judgment. Then slow, he nodded, pulling his phone.
All right, but...
One condition. Walk away clean. No grudges. Lie, probably. Revenge's half-life eternal. But I lowered the gun, just enough. He propped the device on the rig's husk, hit record. Words tumbled. Admissions raw, unscripted. Meridian laundering. SEC bribes. The dosings, the swap. My name cleared in every breath. Isla Reyes, innocent. My patsy, my shame. Tears? Real? Or Oscar bait? By end, the stream hit X, going viral in heartbeats, Kane confession trending, shares exploding. Sirens crescendoed. Cops? Feds?
Didn't matter.
Victor sagged, spent. Now what? Whisper almost human. I pocketed the Glock, evidence for later, and turned for the stairs.
Now?
You face it. Alone. No shot, no shove. Mercy? Justice? Debatable. As I descended, elevator dinging to lobby chaos, reporters swarming, Carla in the fray, eyes locking mine with a nod, I felt the weight lift. Not gone, but shifted. Loyalty's noose? Snapped. Weeks blurred. Indictments flew. Victor in cuffs, remanded to Rikers pending trial. Kane and associates dissolved, assets seized. Hargrove and cronies scattering like roaches.
Me?
Cleared, but scarred. SEC apology letter framed on my new desk. Not VP, but consultant gig at a nonprofit, auditing Wall Street's wolves for the public good. Mom's house safe. Paid off with my settlement. Dates? One coffee with a journalist who saw past the scandal to the survivor. Sparks? Maybe. But nights, the merge haunted. Dreams of his voice in my head, my doubts in his. Was the ending happy? Redemption arc? Girl power punch? Or tragic, perpetual shadows, trust forever fractured? Readers argue in comments. She should have pushed him. Mercy makes her weak.
Me?
I pour a scotch, neat, no spikes, and toast the skyline.
Noon fired me.
5 exposed me. But midnight?
That reclaimed me.
Power's a swap, after all, not bodies but souls. And in the end, I chose mine.